Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no time.
Welcome to Please Remain Calm. I'm Ben Gonzalez.
And I'm Daniel Gonzalez. Hey, before we start off, just like always, folks, the opinions expressed here on the Please Remain Calm podcast are our own. They do not reflect the opinions of the Los Angeles City Fire Department or the Los Angeles County Department of Health Services. Also want to take a moment, thank everybody for listening to the podcast as always. Every week it grows and grows, and we really appreciate you guys sharing it and listening and liking and doing all the stuff we ask you to do every week. But mostly sharing the podcast and telling people about it. The fact that we are continuing to get more and more subscribers on really all of our platforms.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, including
passed
YouTube.
A few milestones.
Yeah. We've passed a few milestones this past couple weeks. And the show continues to grow, and we get a lot of messages from people that are very complimentary and pump us up on different episodes that we have that they're helping you guys a lot. And that's why we're kind of sticking with this style of show and types of things that we're talking about. It seems like it's really connecting with the audience, and we really appreciate you guys listening. Like I said, continue to listen, continue to tell your friends about it, spread the word about the podcast. The more subscribers, the more likes, the more comments, all that stuff that we get, it all helps us grow the podcast and get more notice from the different networks and whatnot. And hopefully we can keep this thing going and get some more sponsors so we can keep this thing going for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny makes a great point. As of now, we are still only brought to you by us. So we appreciate all the love and help and support as we move forward. And we are at episode 70 now.
Episode 70.
Yeah, wrapping up 2021, getting into 2022, and we are going to give back and drop some more knowledge nuggets for our audience on this one.
Yeah.
A bit of Christmas memories, Christmas safety tips, and then a full-on job pitch to see who wants to come and join your boy at the Medical Alert Center.
I know a lot of people are getting back into the workforce, and if as far as jobs go, man, if you can grab onto a city or a county job,
oh yeah,
as far as all the benefits and stuff like that go along with it.
Oh yeah.
Not to mention, it's just a good job, and we'll get into that later. But if you're looking for something like that and you have any of the basic qualifications, we'll talk a little bit about what Ben does over at MAC. Wanted to start off the episode today, though, just, we're a couple days away from Christmas.
Yeah.
Today is the 20th. It is December 20th, 2021, which is my youngest son Ezekiel's 9th birthday.
That's
Happy
right.
birthday,
Happy
Easy.
birthday, bud.
Daddy loves you. Yeah, man, it's crazy because Max just had his birthday too. December. I don't know for those. I've probably mentioned it before, but December's a big month for my family.
Old Danny lined up all his kids that have a birthday like a week apart.
Yeah, man, it's
knock everything out in 2 weeks. So Christmas, birthdays, this whole year.
No, never mind. I won't make that joke. But yeah, dude, December 3rd is Bernie, my wife. December 5th, Dad.
Yeah.
December 4th or 5th, depending on who you ask, is Grandma. 14th is Max, and the 20th is Ezekiel, and then Christmas is a couple days away. So November, I tend to work my ass off in November to try to pay for all the shit I got to pay for.
It all off, yep.
December, but we're hitting Universal Studios a little later for his birthday. Christmas, obviously it's family time. It's kids usually get this week off, in the following week into next year for winter break. And, families get together, it starts getting colder. So people turn their heaters on for the first time in, 6, 7, 8 months or whatever.
Yep.
You get a Christmas tree in the house.
Mm-hmm.
If you're feeling super festive, you might have some candles around. You might even have a candle, sitting in front of, Theo Bethel's, ashes that are on the mantle, or a little shrine to Grandpa, in the corner.
Maybe you made a nativity scene and you put some real hay in there and you want some lights on it.
Of course, man. Mm-hmm. Not to mention the living tree that everyone puts in their house. And, if you happen to forget to put water in it or something like that, you have all these like new hazards that aren't typically in your house.
With a lot more people in your house than you usually have.
A lot more people. And a big part of it is just the kids being home all the time. And now, obviously over the past couple of years, the kids have been home a lot more. But you got a lot more like kids running around the house, neighbors' kids over playing, stuff like that. The cousins over screwing around and stuff. So just a lot more activity and a lot more shit going on at the house, typically around Christmas time. And I just want to talk a little bit about what Christmas and the holidays are like for the fire department, for firefighters in general. The first thing that is, I think, a little bit of a culture shock, I guess, for lack of a better word, for a new firefighter coming into firefighting. If you haven't been exposed to it, if you haven't had it, like in your family, you know, like we did, if you don't know, like a full understanding of what the lifestyle is like, working 24-hour shifts, sometimes getting your ass kicked and then getting off the next day, being tired and having to catch up on sleep that day and kind of wasting that day away. Yep. And then you got to work the next day, you know, and if you have a similar shift and you go home the next day, it really feels like, God, this sucks. You know what I mean?
Like, I feel like I have to get sleep ahead of time to prepare myself for this day coming up where I'm not going to sleep. It
just feels like you're losing. Not only are you getting your ass kicked while you're at work, but you're losing your personal time at home too, because you're trying to sleep or you're just,
this is how you feel.
Or you can't sleep. Like I had a lot of trouble with that, sleeping during the day, sleeping when the sun's out and shit. And so maybe you don't fall asleep, but you're just like zombied out all day. You don't have the energy to get anything done. You wind up sitting around all day and wasting the day away.
Right.
So that just in general across the board sucks. Now, when it comes to the holidays, you know, a lot of guys, especially guys with a little bit more time on that have planned their year a little bit more ahead of time and stuff like that, people tend to take more time off around the holidays. Obviously, they want to spend time with family and stuff.
Right.
And it used to be the tradition in the fire department was if you were a younger guy on the job with no family, no kids at home and stuff like that, you kind of went and you took those days, like you took a Christmas Eve or you took a Thanksgiving for the guys that have family and kids at home, right? And so if you don't have a lot of time on the job, there's a couple things that could happen, man. First of all, the culture shock of having to work on holidays, having to work the weekends that your shift falls on, stuff like that. That concept is a little bit foreign to most people. You know what I mean? Like most people are like, oh, it's fucking Thanksgiving. What the hell? I'm not working on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If your boss makes you, it's like a big thing, you know?
Yeah.
Or even weekends, you know what I mean? Like obviously people work on the weekends, but you know, it's kind of, you see people, especially younger guys on the job that first got on, like taking a lot of their weekends off, stuff like that. And in the fire department, man, the weekends, at least in the LAFD, our weekends are like our drill days.
Right, exactly. That's where you're going to learn.
Yeah, it's where we go out. There's less people out on the streets. Where we go out, we walk roofs, we drill on different things, abandoned houses, we cut on roof props, all this shit. So, that's changed a little bit over the years. It used to be that guys were really, really, really into making sure that they were there on drill days, which is the weekend days. And it wasn't such a big deal that we worked holidays because you worked your holiday, but
that's not really happened as much now. Like the newer guys on the job.
Well, if you work, let's say like the way it usually typically falls, you don't get like Thanksgiving every year. Like one year you might get Thanksgiving, and the next year you might get like the day before Thanksgiving, and then the following year you get Thanksgiving again, and then you have like 3 years off of Thanksgiving where it just falls that way. You don't work that way.
Yeah.
So if guys would just work their shifts, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm working Thanksgiving this year.
And
work
covered.
It's no big deal, man, because then you wouldn't have a spot open there that somebody has to work overtime in, or if they can't get anyone to work it, then they got to hire somebody, right?
Right.
That isn't happening anymore. It seems like everybody is trying to get their holidays off every holiday. And it's not going to work that way. And some people still go, I'll try to get it off, see if I can find somebody, but I couldn't find anybody. No big deal. I'll fucking work it. And then there's other guys who go, I couldn't find anybody. I'm not working on Thanksgiving, and calling sick. Mm-hmm. Right. So now let's say Thanksgiving is the first day of your segment or something like that. You've been off for a 4-day. You call in sick for that first day. It's not a big deal to you to call in sick because it's just a phone call.
Right.
Hey, I'm off sick.
Right.
Okay. All right. What's a captain going to say? All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Get better, put you off. And then now they got to hire somebody for Thanksgiving. Well, if there's nobody signed up to work, now they got to hire somebody, force hire, right? Everybody has a coded
Somebody
day.
else who had it off.
Somebody else who had it off, who shouldn't be working that day, has to work now. It's getting force hired. Well, now we're to a point because the Firefighters for Freedom decided to
all quit.
To all quit. And we lost 115, 118, something like that, guys, like that. We're extremely short-staffed. And you still got people who have stayed who are still doing that same thing, calling in sick on days that they just don't want to come in and stuff like that. And it's affecting the amount, and you only have so many people that have an assigned hire code that day too, right?
Yeah.
So once you blow through those assigned hire code guys, well, now you're kind of screwed. And because we require constant staffing, you can't just shut a rig down, right? Without having some kind of protection in that district. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of moving around and stuff like that going on now. And so because they're blowing through the guys that have assigned hires, there's a lot more. The next level would be a recall, right?
Right.
And recall is supposed to be
just got off, right?
What's that?
Someone who just got off, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It can be so it can go as far as a full recall where they put it out on media and stuff like that Los Angeles Fire Department is having a recall. All firefighters will report to your whatever the reporting location is, probably your fire
which
station.
Which has happened in like natural disaster situation or something like that, right? Like
correct, like Northridge earthquake, LA riots, that sort of thing. They'll put it out on even if you're not working, they'll put it on the radio, put it on the news. The LA City Fire Department is initiating a recall. That's why you're supposed to keep a current a landline phone number in your personal record book so that they can get in contact with you. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to maintain a home landline phone number as well, just in case the cell towers go down or something like that. They have a way to contact you to let you know you need to come in because of the recall. Well, they're doing like partial recalls, limited recalls on the days that they don't have people to assign hire for. So basically the guys that were working the day before at about 6, 7 o'clock at night, they'll get on the PA and say the department is implementing a limited recall for tomorrow. All firefighters and paramedics that were working yesterday are to stay on duty in the morning. Do not leave until we have placed all members in the required positions. And then you're just there, man. You have to stay there until they release you to go. Mm-hmm. And you do get paid overtime for the time you're there and stuff like that. And so you sometimes you get placed and recalled, and sometimes you don't, and they let you go home 8 o'clock in the morning or so. Mm-hmm. So because of the situation that we're in right now, it seems like that's happening a lot more, which kind of sucks because, well, it sucks for a number. It sucks that those guys decided that, you know, listening to their political motivations and stuff like that, they've decided to leave this career and put their families in that position, but they're also putting the rest of the guys in that position. That's why it cracks me up their Instagram, you know, and I've talked about it before, their fear mongering, how pathetic it is. But it cracks me up, all the shit that they're putting on Instagram and all the fear mongering. It's like, you guys are causing that. Oh, yeah. We're still maintaining, we're still running the calls. Mm-hmm. You know, we've definitely seen an increase in our call volume on the paramedic rescue because we're running a lot more 800 and BLS runs. Right. But that shit cracks me up. So not only are these guys off and putting their families in that position, they're not able to work during the holidays. Yeah. But it's also causing a lot more guys to have to work a lot more days. Right. As a assigned hire or recall that we wouldn't have had to work in the holidays. Yeah.
Who don't want to work. Yeah. They have to now.
Yeah. You know, I'd rather be home with my family. And those of you that have kids know, man, the older you get and the older your kids get, the more you want to be home with your kids. Mm-hmm. When I first got hired, I'd worked 120s, 96s, standing on my head, no problem, dude. Because I was counting my chips, I was stacking chips.
And that's when you're in your 20s, dude.
Yeah, I was in my 20s. Where we're playing handball at midnight, nines, and it was a blast, dude. Yeah. And
as going to work Monday morning and getting off Friday night.
Dude, be at work easily at nines. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. It was great. And as you get older, obviously things change. Your outlook on life changes. Your energy levels change. All that stuff changes. And you get kids. And even when they were like really young, it wasn't that big a deal that I was at work a lot because she wasn't working. She was in school and I was maintaining everything for our family. And you want to give your kids everything you can. And now they're a little bit older and they have a lot more going on. And I just want to be home a lot more with them. So it affects me. It affects guys like that a lot more too, that they have to, that we have to basically work more than we want to around the holidays. The other thing with the holidays that is different than the rest of the year is there are, like we talked about earlier, a lot more hazards during the holidays. At least I feel like when the holidays first begin, like when we get into the swing of Christmas and stuff like that. Right. One of the things that people need to be very aware of is your Christmas tree. Okay. Mm-hmm. whether you want to admit it or not, or whether you've had any exposure to it or not, that Christmas tree it can turn into a tinderbox at the freaking drop of a dime, man. Those things are extremely flammable. If you get any kind of flame on them or anything like that, they go up very fast. And if a tree goes up in your living room, typically they're in the corner or something like that, next to the curtains, or if you have, other decorations hanging, on the mantle or around it, it'll get things going. It'll get your whole living room going real fast. Mm-hmm. And even if you're quick and you're able to get a fire extinguisher, you have it handy there, which would be a smart thing if you have a Christmas tree in your house. And you knock it down, you don't have a lot of real fire damage. The smoke that it puts off will go throughout your entire home. I mean, in most fires, the majority of the damage is smoke damage and water damage from us putting water on the fire.
Right.
So it's one of those things that you bring into your home during the holidays that you need to be extra careful with. Make sure that you keep plenty of water in your tree. Okay. You want to make sure that when you buy your tree that they clip the bottom of the tree off so it's able to drink, but make sure that you stay on top of keeping water, in the base of your tree.
Yeah.
Those things suck up water like crazy, man. If you don't check it every day and a half or so and make sure that the bottom of that trunk is still sitting in the water, those trees dry out and they can get very dry very quick.
Yep. Big dry fuel just sitting there in your living room with a bunch of lights on it.
For real, dude. It's crazy when you think about it. And,
totally.
And if you've never been exposed to it or never been like, sometimes they do like exhibitions at the school or something like that, or you'll see it on the news. Dude, you know what I mean?
It lights up in seconds.
Seconds, dude. Yep. So you have to be very wary of that. And it's very easy to forget about doing that, forget about checking, especially when if gifts start piling up around the tree and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And you have so much shit going on during the holidays and stuff like that. It's real easy to forget about that stuff.
Yeah. Your dog can drink the water sometimes. Yeah.
You have to watch
out for it.
Have to stay on top of it. That's one of the things that made working like in South Central suck so bad during the holidays was like after Christmas. That's like the tradition down there to drag your tree out in the middle of the street and set it on fire. Right. So not a big deal if you do it out in the middle of the street. Like I said, they go up whoosh, man, like real fast. Within a minute, the thing's burnt down to a stick.
Right.
But for some reason, the people down there love to call 911 when they see a Christmas tree on fire in the middle of the street. So during the holidays, dude, down in South Central, I don't know, dude, 5-6 times a night we'd get up
for a Christmas tree in the street,
Christmas tree burning in the street, in the middle of the street. Yeah, in the middle of the street. They drag them in the middle of the street. We'll go out. We'll go out for a Christmas. I remember one time, dude, Christmas tree, and you're just like, fucking Christmas tree, man. God damn it. I mean, you just like pull up next to you. You don't even pull hose out or anything. You just
squirt it.
Open up the manifold and squirt it. And typically, by the time we get there, the whole thing's burnt anyways. It's just a smoldering stick in the middle of the street. So you're like, Christmas tree, piece of shit. And you cruise over there, you squirt it, and looking down the street, there's some little jackass a block and a half down, dragging another tree in the middle of the street. And you're like, hey, knock it off. And nope, light it up. And there it goes. You see it down the street. Son of a bitch, man. You put that down, cruise down the street, put that one out, go back to the station, lay down, barely start falling, dude. Or whatever the hell they come out as. I forget what they come out as. Not brush fire, rubbish fires, right?
Yeah.
But it's a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Every night, dude. Probably till for
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. Every night, dude. 5-6 a night. And, that's how we gauge if you have a good or a bad night. It's how many you had after midnight.
Of course.
I'll run calls all day long, dude. Back to back. I don't care. I actually enjoy being busy. It makes the day pass by a lot faster. As long as I can get a couple bites of food in at some point. Yeah. It's the after midnight calls that will ruin your next day.
The worst.
The
worst is when you wake up after you went to sleep and you don't know what time it is yet.
Oh, yeah,
like,
dude.
Let it be 5. Let it be 5.
Or
let
don't,
it be 5.
Or
you
don't
see 12 in front of you, you're like,
it's the worst.
Fucking damn it.
You're like, I've only been asleep for 45 minutes.
Oh, God.
Or when you're working overtime at a different station and you're in a dormette or something like that, and you wake up and you don't know where you are.
Yeah.
That's happened to me before, dude. I'm just like, where the hell am I? It's pitch black in there,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Christmas tree fires. God, if any of you are in South Central, or if this happens anywhere where you live or you serve on a fire department, And if you're a civilian and listening to this and you're used to taking your Christmas tree out and setting it on fire in the middle of the street, please, look, I don't even care if you do it. I really don't. Pull your tree out in the middle of the street and set it on fire. At least you're seeing what it does. You can have a little bit more appreciation for it, right? I just don't understand why you call 911. That's what I don't get.
Take your own water out there, bro.
Well, if you drag it in the middle, you drag it in the middle of the street because you know that that's the safest place for you, and you know it's going to go up in a minute or two. Yeah. I mean, the only explanation that I can think of is that that's part of the fun is watching the fire department show up with their lights and siren and squirt a little bit of water. And if I was a kid, I would think that was awesome. You know what I mean? But I shit you not, dude. Every single one of these drag them out in the street and set them on fire Christmas tree fires that we get, I just don't understand why you needed to call us to come out and look at it. You could have set it on fire, let it burn, it do its thing, and then just scoot it off to the side when it's not smoldering anymore. Dump a little bit of water on, put it off to the side. You can still have your fun. Yeah, you're gonna do it anyways. I get it. Why you got to call us for it? That's what I don't get, man. Obviously we're there for emergencies. We're there for when you need us. Hey, I'm not telling anybody don't call 911 if you feel like you need us. But that one thing in particular, I've never understood. And I spent a lot of time, dude. A lot of time in South Central.
There's a couple other things too, probably. Yeah.
A lot of time in South Central, man, just like wondering that 6 times a night. Why the fuck? Why the fuck are you calling 911? Just set it on fire. I don't care if you do it. You know. Yeah, man. Another thing. One other thing I want to point out. Like I mentioned earlier, man. A lot of times, we wind up getting a lot more fires at the beginning of summer or at the beginning of winter when it first starts getting cold. Mm-hmm. And a large part of that has to do with people like turning on their heaters for the first time in a long time. We get a lot of like floor furnace fires. A lot of those older homes will have like the wall furnaces, the floor furnaces that are underneath the house, radiators, stuff like that. Do yourself a favor, do us a favor. If you are in a position to be able to, and I know, Christmas, a lot of times for a lot of people, it's tough money wise. And so calling a heating or air conditioning person out might not be feasible money wise for you in this day and age or this time. But I would highly recommend that before the cold season starts, even like, let's say, it's still warm and it was 80 degrees in November, but like toward the end of November or something like that, call out a, 80 do heating and air or something like that. Some random, just like $40 checkup person that can come and just look at your system. At the very least, they'll clean it, get all the dust off it that's been collecting for the past year, so you don't get that dust smell when you finally do turn it on. Right. But they can go through and they can make sure that all your connections are right, that everything's in working order, that you're not going to have any leaks, that you're not, you don't have any seals that are broken, anything like that, that might potentially cause a fire. I can't tell you really how often the source of a fire is a wall furnace or floor heater or something like that. Another thing on that note too is keep stuff off of the floor furnace. Okay. I see that a lot too, especially on Christmas. You got gifts around or you move stuff around so you can fit the tree in or whatever. Be very wary of what you're placing over the floor furnace, especially like plants and stuff, right? Like if you have a poinsettia or something like that you're putting and you have it on the table and it's right over the floor furnace, that thing will dry out that plant. And if you got candles on that table or something, that's how that chain reaction things happen and get you to a point where you could potentially have a fire. Yeah. Another thing to keep in mind, I just got a couple other things, man.
Yeah, lay them out, man. People need this.
It's important to, in times like this, when you have more family at home and these added dangers in your home, fire dangers in your home, that you guys create a plan with your family. Talk to your kids about what exactly to do in the event of a fire. Yeah. If you have bars on your windows, bedroom windows too, that have a release, make sure that your kids understand how that operates. Make sure that you understand how that operates. My kid's bedroom, their bunk bed is actually like on the wall where the release is for the bars on the window, because we have bars along the side of the house, just remnant from when we bought the house. But I've gone through with them exactly. I have the beds pulled away far enough where they can reach down, release the handle, and get the bars out if they need to get out of the house. But also on top of that, make sure that you have a safe place, either out in front of your house, across the street from your house or something like that, where you guys can all get out and go meet to make sure that you're all safe. This is all basic shit that I'm sure teachers in school have talked to your kids about, or you might have talked to them about it in the past.
Right.
Go over it again, man. Yeah. Just go over everything. Hey, let's have a little safety meeting. This is what you guys are going to do in case there's a fire. If there's a fire in this room, and you open the door and the smoke's not bad, run over here to the front. Or if you open the door and there's smoke banking, close your door so the smoke doesn't get in your room and go out the window. This is how you do it. Show them exactly how to do it. Give them the confidence to be able to do it if and when something like this happens. Because in a fire, panic is going to kick in. And having gone through it with the parent or having gone through it yourself and having it in your mind exactly how it's going to work and how it's going to happen will help you do that even when you're in a panic state. I've talked about it a little bit on the show in the past. Panic is a motherfucker, dude.
Oh yeah.
Panic will take over your body and take over your thoughts, man. So the more that you've like practiced something or at least done it in your head, so you can visualize it as you're doing it.
Yeah.
The better.
Yeah. You'll be able to stay calm. I remember when we were kids, Dad tried to fire drill us.
Yeah.
Like that when we were little, we were asleep, and he comes up to our room and he has a fire alarm and he sets it off. So it's going off the smoke detector. Beep, 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 beep,
light on.
Beep,
Turn the light on.
Light on.
Yeah.
It's flashing. Neither of us wake up. Neither of us wake up.
I think I finally woke up and just like looked at him like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
And Dad's like, dude, what are you guys doing? I can't believe this. Like he was like in shock, but it was like, it had no effect. So please practice. It does make a difference.
You know,
You'd be surprised.
It's funny, man. They actually, it's funny you bring that up because they've actually had studies with kids like in fire alarms, and a lot of times kids don't wake up to the fire alarm, but they do have fire alarms that you can record your own voice on. Right. And in those studies, and who knows maybe the company that makes the fucking fire alarm put this out, but kids are a lot more likely to wake up to their parent going, hey, get up, come on, wake up. There's a fire. Yeah. And they woke up almost instantly because they recognize their parent's voice, right?
Really?
So seek those out if you're at a point where you're able to get something like that, because I think we're living proof that you don't always wake up to the beeping of the smoke alarm.
Yeah, but if you have your kids listening to you like that, even better. Way to go.
Another thing I want to mention before we move on, guys, is every year the LA City Fire Department, in conjunction with Spark of Love, collects toys for underprivileged kids across LA City. We do have basically every fire station is a collection site. Last year they didn't collect at the fire station just because of the pandemic. This year we are taking donations at the firehouse. If you have any gifts that you'd like to donate, any unwrapped new toys still in the package, feel free to bring them to any LA City Fire Department station, and they have collection sites there. We have an entire group of guys that run that and come by every day, pick up the gifts. We sort them out, and we have organizations, homeless shelters, church groups, schools, daycares, all these different organizations that put in to receive a certain amount of gifts for boys, for girls. And there's a lot of really good people at the LAFD that firefighters that actually do this on special duty, that organize it. Ray Topete is a buddy of mine that did it for a long time. Not 100% sure if he's still doing it, but
Topete.
Oh yeah, you know Ray. Yeah.
Ray,
He's your partner. That's right.
EMTs before.
Yeah. Ray ran it for a long time. I'm not sure if he's still doing it. I would imagine he is. He's really good about that and really into.
Yeah. Ray was big with the Explorer program. He was an explorer. And,
all that stuff. Yeah. Great guy, man. It's a great thing that they do for these kids.
Shout out Ray.
And they they do a good job at it, man. So if you guys have any toys and you're looking for a place to donate a place that is going to do good with it, that's a 1,000% nonprofit, and every single toy gets to a needy kid. Feel free to bring an unwrapped toy still in the package to any fire station as part of the Spark of Love toy drive, and we will make sure that it gets to a kid in need. Yeah, man, that happens sometimes. We've had that, like, South Central, we used to get like, I don't know, man, 4 or 5 like notes to the fire station. hey, firefighters, I'm super embarrassed to even ask this, but I have 3 kids. I'm doing it by myself. I work full time. I barely make ends meet. I don't have anything to give my children. It's just like heartbreaking letters, man.
Right.
And a lot of stations do this, man. We'll get some of those letters and we'll collect money around just from the guys, $50 $50 a guy or whatever. And we'll have this little fund and we'll fund some of these.
You do that at the county too.
Yeah,
Adopt
dude.
the family.
Yeah, we'll show up to their house in the morning with a little bit of food and a couple gifts for the kids, a basketball, football, whatever. And it's one of the most. We do a lot of rewarding shit, and there's stuff that's like delayed gratification and instant gratification. That's one of those like instant gratification things where you see the light and you see the happiness that you brought to this little family, man. It's cool. It's one of those like good things that happens during the holidays. It's, good or bad, depending on how you look at it. I don't feel like anybody should be in a position where they can't, or they're struggling so much that they can't, afford a Christmas for their kids. But the fact that we're able to be there and help even a little bit is always nice.
Yeah.
As far as like from a paramedic standpoint though, like something, and a captain firefighter standpoint is it's something that you have to keep in mind because so many people are home for the holidays, kids are home, families getting together and stuff like that. And there are so many more added dangers in your home, fire dangers in your home. Mm-hmm. You really have to look at every fire that you come across as a potential MCI. You know what I'm saying?
And we have already had that, like just in the past week where we're having multiple burn transfers, people pulled out of the same fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's already starting. It always kicks up and gets a little bit busier around this time. Because just like you said, any house fire now might have had 2 people in it before, now might have 15 or 20.
Yeah, exactly.
A car accident.
Yeah,
there was more people in the cars.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's on the way to events,
the same kind of thing. Yeah.
Not only that, but just like you would have more people in your house, more people are having their family and stuff in their apartments. Yep. So if you get in an apartment, you're more likely to have those same new dangers, candles and whatnot, some more electronics and stuff like that, but in a more confined space than you would in a house. So you get a tree going in an apartment building. I mean, you talk about MCI, you get a middle of the night Christmas tree fire in an apartment building. You could have, 5 or 6 families affected medically, and the rest affected where we need the Red Cross or something because they're displaced for smoke damage or water damage or whatever. It's another thing that we have to think about in apartment fires is salvage. And especially when it comes to Christmas. For those of you that don't know, salvage is one of the things that we have to consider when we're fighting fire. Not only do we go in there to make sure that we put wet stuff on the red stuff and put the fire out, do a search for victims and stuff, but we also want to be aware, especially in the lower income communities, right?
Right.
We want to be aware of trying to save the things that we can save. And not just going in there like it's the wild, wild west with our hose line fully open and squirting everywhere and get water damage on everything, stuff like that.
Yeah, basically you don't want to be responsible for more damage.
Correct.
You're mitigating.
And the lower income area that you go into, the more that those people need every little thing that they own.
Oh yeah.
Everything is just a little bit more important. They might not have renter's insurance where they can replace the things that they lost in the fire.
Right.
Not only that, but there could be, things with sentimental value, family heirlooms, photographs of their grandfather that just passed away, things like that you want to make sure that you protect. And if you have a fire on the second floor, not only is salvage important in the unit where you have the fire in, right? Because you want to save as many of those things as you can, but it's also important in the unit underneath,
right,
where you're working. Water can seep through. You can it can burn through the floor. You can put your foot through the floor and create a hole that shit starts coming through. So you want to get a unit down or get a couple units down in the unit below the fire, get all their furniture and stuff dragged into the middle, get it covered up with plastic or with a salvage cover just to protect their belongings and whatnot.
On a fire like that, salvage is typically happening like right after entry and right after you guys are start an attack?
Yeah. So the initial companies will come in. You'll get like the initial engine company will be fire attack. The initial truck company will go to the roof, right? You'll have another company backup fire attack. Then you'll have another company, hey, check the units to the left or right of it. And then you'll get like a truck company, second in truck company. Depending on how big the fire is, hey, you guys might go to the roof, or hey, why don't you guys go and hit salvage in the unit underneath the fire? And they'll put a company there because, you know, it's going to take some work to get the sofa, get the hutch and all this stuff into the middle.
Everything in the middle of the room and cover it up.
Yeah. Covered up. We do the same thing at like attic fires too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You turn on your AC or whatever, and there's something fucked up in the AC unit or the heating unit in the attic. It gets the insulation going. You get an attic fire. You could be in the house, not even know that your attic's fully involved, and your neighbors called the police or called 911 because there's smoke billowing out of the vents in your attic. Right. I mean, we've done that, dude. Pull up, lights and sirens go, bang on the door, and people open the door like, "Hey, your house is on fire." What? They look. I mean, it's literally like this inside. Yeah. So something like that. How you fight those fires? You pull a little bit of ceiling, you pull a couple of rafters up there, right? You stick your head all the way in there, and you vertically put water on the fire, right? Mm-hmm. You don't just punch a hole and squirt straight up in the hole. You're not going to put anything out that way. You have to get your nozzle up there and go vertical with it. Yeah. Well, to do that, you got to pull ceiling, which is going to drop dust and drywall and shit like that. And then you're going to start squirting water, and that water is going to start coming down and dripping. That's going to have ash and soot from the attic that's burning, right? Mm-hmm. It's all going to drip down. It'll soak through. Some of the spots will get soaked with water because you've been squirting over there too long, and that might collapse and stuff like that. So shit happens down here. Yeah. Clear as day, but once you get in there and you actually start fighting fire, you start dropping stuff into the unit and stuff like that. And you want to save a couch like this, or
whatever you can.
All there's electrical equipment, stuff like that.
Yeah, like you're saying, it means something to the people who live there. You got to try to save as much as you can.
Yeah, but like I said, you got to be real wary of MCI issues. And as an officer, when you show up, if I were to show up to a apartment building, 2 days before Christmas, middle of the night, with one unit going like a bomb, I'm thinking we're going to have a medical problem. We're going to have an MCI issue in this building. Right. And I might call for, hey, because you get the initial dispatch with, a certain number of companies and a paramedic rescue and an 800 ambulance. I might say, hey, attach me 4 additional paramedic rescues and 2 additional BLS rescues and 1 additional EMS captain. Just to make sure that, and do it now. That way, when we get in, we do our initial search. We search the apartment to the left. We search the apartment to the right. We realize that it's extended into those units, and we got 6 victims we're pulling out of this fire. Mm-hmm. At least we have the medical resources.
You're ready for it.
If they're not on scene, they're on the way there. So it's something to keep in mind as an officer too when you show up. And when that happens. The first on scene paramedic rescue will set up communications. If we feel like we're going to have an MCI, which is 3 or more patients on our end, then a lot of times we call MAC, which is where Ben works. And in all honesty, man, because sometimes we'll have situations where we have three patients, right? And I don't call MAC for 3 patients. So I would just make regular contact and just tell them, hey, this is what we have. Mm-hmm. I got a triple shooting. We got 3 victims. Victim number 1 is da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm showing you open. How many traumas critical traumas can you take? Yeah. Well, UCLA, we can take 3. Yeah. Perfect. I'm going to send all 3 to you. Patient number 1 is coming with rescue 62. He's got da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Patient number 2 is coming with rescue 43. It's a 43-year-old, blah, 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 blah. And patient number 3 is coming with rescue 59. They have a gunshot wound to the leg, da, 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 da.
And that's perfect. And as a veteran move, you can handle that and do that. And you should be able to, you know what I mean? Right. But once that number gets a little bit higher and higher, it gets a little bit harder to keep track of everybody. And that's where it's helpful to have us in there, because sometimes it is 3 or 4, sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 40. Yeah. And not one guy wants to keep track of 40 rescues going to, 20 different locations to drop off 40 people.
Not only do you not want to, you just can't fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly. So because we have such a big system, that's why we're in place and why we have all these procedures, ready to go.
So what happens on your end when I call and go and you answer, hey, this is Mac, this is Ben. Mm-hmm. And I go, hey, Mac, this is LA City Rescue 6-3. We're on scene of a structure fire at an apartment building in South Central. We have potentially 10 victims here. Trying to get severities for you right now. Just contacting you initially to let you know what we got going on.
All right. So that's a good quick little size up, right? So I'm going to get the location of where you're at. So I'm going to know which burn center you're going to be going to. Because if you're talking about people that are coming out of a structure fire, you're talking about burns.
Sure. Yeah.
Burns or trauma. So your trauma centers, your burn centers, that's where we're going to get up right away.
Right.
We'll set up a pole.
And that's access. Just, you have that right at your fingertips.
That's all on the ReadyNet. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
ReadyNet's like ready to rip out either a real MCI, and plus we drill MCIs with different areas, different hospitals, fire departments, pretty much every day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just to keep everybody,
sharp,
fresh. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So once we get that, we send out a poll basically asking all these places, hey, letting them know we have something going right here. How many people can you take? Everybody gets classified into 3 different categories: immediate, delayed, or minor.
Is that like a notification that goes out on their ReadyNet computers that it beeps that they have a message?
On their ReadyNet. Okay. And then when we're talking about the ReadyNet, so I don't know, man, we should probably get back to the real beginning of it here.
All right.
Medical Alert Center. That's where I work. People do message and ask about that. Like, what the hell do you do? We've talked about it like in one episode when we had the Iraq veteran, the Afghanistan veteran that were my coworkers.
Yeah.
They were actually MAC guys before, or one is still a MAC guy and one works for disaster services now. But that's the only time that we've really like talked about it.
Yeah.
So basically it's like a 24/7 like hub to kind of watch over the whole EMS system. And so when we're talking about the whole EMS system, we mean the field responders, which is what Danny would be, fire department, paramedic on a rescue out in the field, making the first contact with people. Also the helicopters that transport those people, we're in contact with them all the time. Lifeguards on lifeboats that are picking up people out of Catalina or just off of the shore, like in the South Bay or anywhere, any of the LA County beaches. You can get a run.
You guys are like the eye in the sky over everything, basically.
Kind of, yeah. For
LA
all the
County.
emergency rooms and then all the specialty services, because that's also part of EMS. You know what I mean? Just because you made it into an ER doesn't mean you're out of the EMS system yet. You might still have to go to another ER or OR that's going to be able to help you.
Does every county have a MAC?
We're the only MAC in the country.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. They started us in the early 70s. I think we're coming up on 50 years. There's actually an old episode of Emergency where they have an MCI and they call MAC.
Oh,
there's a MAC guy in Emergency.
Oh, no shit. That's funny, man.
Yeah,
look that up.
Yeah. So because our system's so big, that's kind of like why you need us. You can make another smaller version of a MAC anywhere, and it's smart because it's good to have something to tie all this stuff in because everything we do matters basically.
Yeah.
Nobody knows you need us until you need us.
Sure. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh shit, all right, I'm glad that you guys are there and that you guys did this. Thanks.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird, but we're also like, it's a unique EMS system. We have 10 million people that live in LA County. You know what I mean? We have like 90 hospitals. You know what I'm saying? So it's like somebody's got to be able to watch over and just kind of keep track of all that shit. So the way that we do that is we have the ReadyNet. The ReadyNet is a computer program that's attached to every paramedic unit in the county. Yeah. All the helicopters, all the emergency rooms. And it's even extended, like a lot of people don't know this, it extends out to like urgent cares, clinics, dialysis centers. Oh, really? Doctors' offices can sign up and be part of it if they want. Yeah. So they really do a good job of keeping everybody connected.
It's the way we look and see if a hospital is open to accept patients for us out in the field.
Exactly.
We might be
go ahead.
We might be across the street from Marina Del Rey, but they, if they're full and they're closed on the ReadyNet, we just don't transport there. We're not, they don't accept patients from an ALS ambulance if they're closed on the ReadyNet. So that's what would tell us to transport to the next closest, St. John's or Santa Monica or something like that.
Yeah, there'll be like a screen that you can look at. It'll have all the hospitals listed, and it's kind of like a grid of like what services they're open to and offer. If they're like a stroke center, if they're a trauma center, if they're a acute chest pain center, like STEMI center.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. If they have peds and anything like that. So it'll let you know, and the hospitals themselves are generally the ones that close. There are a few that have to check with us to close, and we close them.
Yeah, or there's some that never freaking close, even though they're packed to the gills.
Right.
But they don't want to lose.
And there's also different ways that they can be closed. They can close the paramedics. They can close to everything, which is any ambulance that comes in. They don't take anyone. there's also an option now where the paramedics can close the ER.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you can do that. If you're in one of those situations where you think this ER needs to close and they're not doing it,
Yeah.
then hey, we've been waiting here too long. We get the parameters of, how many people have been waiting for how long, and we'll call the ER and we'll tell them we're closing you.
Yeah. Internal disaster too. If there's something that happens, if they lose power, if there's a broken water pipe that floods part of the ER, if they've had a fucking COVID outbreak or something like that in the ER,
had them
like
for active shooters.
Oh yeah.
Active shooter in the hospital, and a new one that's happened they don't talk about a lot over the last few years is like cybercrime.
Oh really?
They'll hold the whole system hostage. It's happened to a few hospitals. Think Hollywood Press.
Oh yeah,
had to pay out millions to get their system back.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
It happens, man. So for all those reasons, hospitals will call us and they need to close to an internal disaster, which means they don't get anything. They won't get any traffic from anywhere. So the Ready Net's one way that we're connected to everybody. We also have the radio, VMed 28.
Yeah.
That's in every ambulance, in every ER, which is another like backup way. And then we have like a landline, and everybody just calls a landline. That's the best way to go, easiest way to go. So once you do call in and let us know, what you have, we get the information, we start hitting the hospitals. We'll put out the poll electronically, but places that we know are going to get somebody in 5 minutes, because sometimes you call and you're already packed somebody. Yeah. Someone's already on the way. Yeah. And it should be that way. You're there in the field. You should determine, hey, this guy's going right now. I'll tell them after. And that's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? We don't want anybody holding up anything.
And typically one or two patients, you're good just figuring that out on your own. Your local trauma center, if they're open, boom, you can just get them on your way. Yeah. And on my side, basically I'm taking a blank piece of paper. When I call Mac, which I've only done a couple times in my career, and I think we talked about it in the episode with the guys there. But I take a piece of paper and I start talking. I say everything that I already introduced, and you go, all right, man. At least then he goes, what are the closest hospitals to you? Just list the hospitals that are closest to you.
Yeah.
And so I started breaking down, hey, California, Good Samaritan, blah, 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 county, Cedars, going a little further out, Brotman.
And that's like the script to confirm it with you, but whoever's on with you knows. Yeah.
And then it was just, all right, dude, California can take 2 criticals, 3, delays or whatever the hell, and it breaks down what each one can take. And then hopefully you set up, I mean, the key to these MCIs, man, especially when it's I'll say this, man, MCIs are typically fairly chaotic incidents.
Yes, it's the nature of them. Yeah,
depending on what the incident is, it could be massive. I mean, you could have an incident like 9-10 years ago when that guy drove down the Venice boardwalk and killed that lady and injured so many more.
They can be ongoing.
Yeah, it was almost a mile long, that scene. You know what I mean? So setting up your MCI to begin with, once you realize you have an MCI, is so fucking important, man. It's so important to stop, take a breath, and go, what is the best way to set this up? Because not only are you setting up, do you need to set up like a triage area on scene, right? To separate and sort your patients. But you also got to set up an area that ambulances can come through and pick up a patient and take off to the hospital without interfering with the rest of the fire and the rest of the incidents there, or the rest of the incident there. So it's important, man, and it's tough to do especially when you're a new medic and maybe it's your first like major incident like this.
Right.
When you have adrenaline pumping to your body, it's hard to stop, especially when you're the first rescue on scene.
Exactly.
Right. When you're the first on scene, everybody comes rushing to you with like the person that's fucked up. You know what I mean? And you're just like, you have to, first of all, understand that you have an MCI, because you could potentially take that patient, put them on your gurney, start working them up, get in the line, and you never even realized you had MCI, and you take off to the hospital.
Yeah, and the next guy has to start the MCI.
The next guy has to start the MCI, and now there might be 4 or 5 people coming out, and if you're second on, you don't know initially if somebody started communications. So everyone's like, who's communications? It's 57's district. Well, they're gone to the hospital. Well, did they start communication? Well, I guess not. They have a patient. Okay, well, who's going to,
so it happens.
And then,
which is why your crafty first aid captain should ask for EMS captain.
Yes. And it's just an extra layer of things that captains have to worry about.
Yep.
But you, as a firefighter, paramedic, if you're working on the rescue that day, or even if you're not, man, even if you're, a firefighter, it might be good too, if you go into the initial to the affected unit, and you squirt some fire on that tree and smoke in, and you go through and you find one body. Yeah, I found somebody. Initial search, you drag them out. Yeah, I found somebody else, and you get 2 or 3 people. You may even mention to your cap, hey, Cap, we got 3 victims already. We need some more rescues. Hey, start an MCR or something like that, because the captain has 100 fucking things going through his head.
Totally.
So if you ever see something that you feel needs to be brought to his attention, but he should already know that, still mention it anyway. The worst that's going to happen is he'll go, I know. Just relax. I got it. You know, and okay, fuck. At least he's
exactly.
But we're all eyes, we're all ears on scene of an incident like that.
Yeah. And if you're in the field, you haven't done this yet, you want to like brush up on procedure, you can call us. The number is in your phone most likely already. Yeah. If you got to hit us up, just run over some stuff, even like you're making sure that it's the right number.
Yeah. And you guys don't mind that shit.
Yeah. Because that's the thing is like we do have a million things that we do, but the priority, we're supposed to drop everything for field MCIs and to make sure you guys are tight and everything's covered and taken care of.
How long you been working there?
I have been there since 2008. Yeah, man.
So how do you like
14 years, dude.
Like day to day, how do you like it?
It's cool. It's different, dude. There's like no other job like it because there's so much that you have to learn and do and know and kind of keep track of. And that's what's cool, man, because there's the whole, field MCI part's like a small part of it. There's obviously not like a major, 5 victims or more happening, every hour of every day. So the other big thing we do is the secondary stuff from the ER. So if any other ER gets a patient that they can't handle, trauma patient, neurosurgery, burns, PICU, OB, active labor, something like that, they'll call us. We have to kind of recognize what's, the real emergency or not. Yeah. And then get them to the right place.
So there's no real, that's one of the things I always loved about the fire department, man. Like it's got its ups and downs. It's got its good things and its bad things.
Yeah.
One thing that I've always loved is that it's not monotonous.
No.
Every day is a little bit different.
See, that's the thing, man. Like how you said, like you're getting paid for being able to handle anything at any time. You never know what you're going to. We're answering the phone, but it can be anything. Yeah. You might be asking for any kind of surgical specialty, and we have to know what this diagnosis is and then what you're supposed to be able to have to confirm it. And then see it and see that it's there before we talk to a doctor and then know to pitch it exactly to the doctor so we don't sound like idiots. Yeah. Because we're not doctors.
What requirements do you have to have in order to work at MAC?
See, here's the thing with it that's trippy. You have to either have been a paramedic for a couple of years or a military corpsman or RN. And that's it.
That's it.
So the thing with it is that because it's like a sort of like a secret department, like we're not a public facing department. Nobody has our number. It's only,
behind the scenes shit.
Exactly. Yeah. So nobody really knows that we're there.
Yeah.
For the most part, until you're already working in the field, but nobody knows exactly what we do for everyone. They just know what we do for each. The hospital people know what we do for them. The fire department knows what we do for them. The cops know what we do for them. It just goes like that. So we don't get a lot of people applying because they just
How did you even find out about it?
A guy who was my paramedic coordinator when I was a private medic left to go to the MAC, and he called me and just told me about it. And that's really the majority of people who work there. Somebody else that worked there already told him, like, dude, you would like it here, man. Like this is a pretty crazy job.
No shit.
You know what I mean? Because nobody really knows, what it is. And the thing is you make the same pay as county fire. You just don't have SOD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want, now we have a ton of overtime, which is kind of why I'm doing this pitch because we're short staffed. Yeah. So if I want to work all the time, I'd freaking, clean up. It's just your overtime days are a 10-hour day instead of a 24-hour day. So it's like between $600 and $700 instead of like over $1,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's the same benefits, the same exact county benefits that
county,
you have.
County job,
and you make basically like a base firefighter pay. Like around you'd be 70, 80, 90, depending on, what your exact position is and where you work.
Where would somebody go to like find out more information about it and stuff like that?
There is a HR site for LA County. You could just search LA County HR. And well, the thing is, here's the other thing too. They make this tricky too. The actual job title, because they never change. County, like it's like a job item, and the job title. Like sometimes it's like completely different from what the actual job is. So when they started this in the 70s, they made the job title Emergency Patient Transfer Coordinator. So you wouldn't know that it's MAC. That's what it is, or MAC operator. They never changed it. So that's what you actually have to look for is Emergency Patient Transfer Coordinator.
So go to the LA County website.
Go to
job
the HR
opportunities,
site.
whatever. HR site. And it's, what is it again?
It's Emergency Patient Transfer Coordinator.
Emergency Patient Transfer Coordinator.
Yeah, and if you have those requirements, like you've been an RN already, you're a paramedic for at least 2 years, or you were a military corpsman for 2 years, but you have like some experience.
And listen, man, there are a lot of people. The past 2 years have been pretty freaking taxing on medical staff across the country, whether it's in the hospital, in the fire department, as an RN or as a paramedic. And so there are a lot of people, I think, that are looking to try to see what else they could do with their skills that they have.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to be in the face of people for 2 years trying to help people in this pandemic. It'd be one thing if people were like actively really working to try to get better and end the thing. But when you have organizations that are working so hard against getting past this, like Firefighters for Freedom, it's frustrating. I can see how it can be frustrating. So if you are in that position, or if you're an RN and you're tired of being, in actual patient care and being exposed to that stuff, or the past 2 years have gotten, weighed heavy on you with all of that stuff, this is an opportunity with something that you can do with your experience on the medical side and still have great benefits, job security, and just something interesting that's not monotonous, that you don't have to deal with patient care anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't touched anyone in 14 years and I sleep all night.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's not bad, but yeah, you're still in the mix. You're still helping out on runs. You actually help out on all the biggest runs. A lot of times you'll be working on something and you're watching on the news at the same time, like while you're working on it. Oh yeah, that's them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's one of the only jobs where you can do that. And yeah, it is exciting. You never know what's going to be on the other end of that phone. You just have to be, ready for it. And it's cool, man. You just wind up becoming like this giant, like bucket of healthcare knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you just are in so many conversations with so many surgeons and doctors and specialists, and you just learn so much stuff. And there's no other job I know of that's like that, where you get to do that, even though you're in an office.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So if you guys are interested, if you have any interest in getting out of the field and you have that experience, take a look, man. Check it out. See if it's something that you might be interested in doing. Again, it's the LA County website, the HR portion of their website, and it is
Emergency Patient Transfer Coordinator.
Emergency Patient Transfer Coordinator.
It's a mouthful.
I think we covered a lot, man. It's pretty good for not having any clue what we're going to talk about before we got here.
Don't tell people that. It's meticulously planned out and produced.
Yeah.
Where can they find you, bro?
Listen, this is the last episode of the year?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, listen,
the last episode we're dropping this year.
I can't tell you guys enough how much I appreciate your listening to the podcast and sharing it. I said at the beginning of the episode. I say it at the beginning of every episode, but this past year, from back in June of the prior year, just kind of popping into this thing and not knowing what we were doing, or what we were going to do, or what the show was really fully going to be about, and to what it's become, and to the feedback that we get from you guys, and the fact that you guys are really enjoying the podcast and stuff like that. This year has just been incredible as far as the podcast goes. We've grown exponentially. We're continuing to grow every single episode. We're really excited to see what next year brings. We have some other projects that are in the oven right now that hopefully will get off the ground in the first couple of months of 2022. So we really look at 2022 as hopefully being a really big year for this production company and this show in particular, but also for some other couple other things that we have brewing. Thank you all so much for listening. Please take care of each other. Like we said at the beginning of the episode, Christmas time is a time for family and friends and love and happiness and all that stuff. But there are dangers out there. Be aware of them. Mitigate them as best you can. Take safety and your family safety seriously, and come up with a fire plan. And thank you all for listening. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, all that stuff. Love you all. Thank you so much for listening. You can find me at DannyGonzo34 on Instagram and Twitter.
You can follow me at Ben9Humor, Ben9Humor on Instagram and Twitter. You could also follow the show at PRC Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or at PRC Podcast on TikTok. email us, contactbrcpod@gmail.com. Thank you guys for following, liking, and sharing. Happy holidays. See you next year.
Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no time.